An Epistle to Dr. Moore, author of A View of Society and Manners in France, Switzerland, and Germany. By Helen Maria Williams. The first mean no giddy heights to climb, and vainly toil to be sublime. While every line with labor wrought, is swell'd with tropes for want of thought. Nor shall I call the Muse to shed Castalian drops upon my head, or send me from Parnassian bowers a chaplet wove of fancy's flowers. At present all such aid I slight, my heart instructs me how to write. That softer glide my hours along, that still my griefs are soothed by song, that still my careless numbers flow to your successful skill I owe. You, who when sickness o'er me hung, and languor had my lyre unstrung, with treasures of the healing art, with friendship's ardor at your heart, from sickness snatched her early prey and bade fair health, the goddess gay, with sprightly air, and winning grace, with laughing eye, and rosy face, accustomed when you call to hear, on her light pinion hasten near, and swift restore with influence. Kind, my weakened frame, my drooping mind, with like benignity, and zeal, the mental malady to heal, to stop the fruitless, hopeless tear, the life you lengthened, rendered dear, to charm by fancy's powerful vein, the written troubles of the brain, from gayer scenes, compassion led your frequent footsteps to my shed, and knowing that the Muse's art has power to ease an aching heart, you soothed that heart with partial praise, and I before too fond of lays, while others pant for solid gain, grasp at a laurel sprig, in vain, you could not chill with frown severe the madness to my soul so dear, for when Apollo came to store your mind with salutary lore, the god, I ween, was pleased to dart a ray from Pindus on your heart, your willing bosom caught the fire, and still is partial to the lyre. But now from you at distance placked where Epping spreads a woody waste, though, unrestrained my fancy flies, and views in air her fabrics rise, and paints with brighter bloom the flowers, bids dryads people all the bowers, and echoes speak from every hill, and naiads pour each little rill, and bands of sylphs with pride unfold their azure plumage mixed with gold, my heart remembers with a sigh that you are now no longer nigh. The magic scenes no more engage, I quit them for your various page, where, with delight I traverse o'er the foreign paths you trod before. Ah, not in vain those paths you tracked, with heart to feel, with powers to taste. Amid the ever-jocund train who sport upon the banks of Seine, in your light Frenchman pleased I see his nation's gay epitome, whose careless hours glide smooth along, who charms misfortune with a song. She comes not as on Albion's plain, with death and madness in her train, for here, her keenest sharpest dart may raise, but cannot pierce the heart. Yet he whose spirit light as air calls life a jest, and laughs at care, feels the strong force of pity's voice, and bids afflicted love rejoice. Love, such as fills the poet's page, love, such as formed the golden age. Fanchon, thy grateful look I see, I share thy joys, I weep with thee, what eye has read without a terror tale to nature's heart so dear. There, dressed in each sublimer grace Geneva's happy scene I trace, her lake, from whose broad bosom thrown rushes the loud impetuous Rhone, and bears his waves with mazy sweep in rapid torrents to the deep. Oh, for a muse less weak of wing, high on yon alpine steeps to spring, and tell in verse what they disclose as well as you have told in prose. How wrapped in snows and icy showers, eternal winter, horrid lowers upon the mountain's awful brow, while purple summer blooms below. How icy structures rear their forms pale products of 10,000 storms, where the full sunbeam powerless falls on crystal arches, columns, walls, yet paints the proud fantastic height with all the various hues of light. Why is no poet called to birth in such a favored spot of earth? How high his venturous muse might rise, and proudly scorn to ask supplies from the Parnassian hill, the fire of verse, Mont Blanc might well inspire, O Switzerland! How oft these eyes desire to view thy mountains rise! How fancy loves thy steeps to climb, so wild, so solemn, so sublime, and o'er thy happy vales to roam, where freedom rears her humble home. Ah, how unlike each social grace which binds in love thy manly race, the Hollander's phlegmatic ease too cold to love, too dull to please, who feel no sympathetic woe, nor sympathetic joy bestow, but fancy words are only made to serve the purposes of trade, and when they neither buy, nor sell, think silence answers quite as well. Now in his happiest light is seen Voltaire, when evening chast his spleen, and placked at supper with his friends, the playful flash of wit descends, of names renowned you clearly show the finer traits we wish to know, to Prussia's martial clime I stray and see how Frederick spends the day. Behold him rise at dawning light to form his troops for future fight, throw the firm ranks his glances pierce, where discipline, with aspect fierce, and unrelenting breast, is seen degrading man to a machine. My female heart delights to turn where greatness seems not quite so stern. Mild on imperial brow she glows, and lives to soften human woes. But lo! On ocean's stormy breast I see majestic Venice rest, while round her spires the billows rave, inverted splendors gild the wave. Fair Liberty has reared with toil, her fabric on this marshy soil. She fled those banks with scornful pride, where classic Poe devolves her tide. Yet here her unrelenting laws are deaf to nature's, freedom's cause. Unjust. They seal, De Foscari's doom, an exile in his early bloom. And he, who bore the rack unmoved, divided far from those he loved, from all the social hour can give, from all that make it bliss to live, these worst of ills refused to bear, and died, the victim of despair. An eye of wonder let me raise, while on imperial Rome I gaze. But oh, no more in glory bright she fills with awe astonished sight. Her mouldering fanes in ruin tract, lie scattered on Campania's waste. Nor only these, alas. We find the wreck involves the human mind. The lords of earth now drag a chain beneath a pontiff's feeble reign. The soil that gave a Cato birth no longer yields heroic worth, whose image lives but on the bust, or consecrates the metal's rust. Yet if no heart of modern frame glows with the ancient hero's flame, the dire arena's horrid stage is banished from this milder age. Those savage virtues too are fled at which the human feelings bled. While now at Virgil's tomb you bend, oh let me on your steps attend. Kneel on the turf that blossoms round, and kiss, with lips devout, the ground. I feel how oft his magic powers shed pleasure on my lonely hours. Though, hid from me the classic tongue, in which his heavenly strain was sung, in Dryden's tuneful lines, I pierce the shaded beauties of his verse. Bright be the ripening beam, that shines fair Florence on thy purple vines. And ever pure the fanning gale that pants in Arno's myrtle vale. Here, when the barbarous northern race, dire foes to every muse, and grace, had doomed the banished arts to roam, the lovely wanderers found a home, and shed round Leo's triple crown unfading rays of bright renown. Whoe'er has felt his bosom glow with knowledge, or the wish to know, has e'er from books with transport caught the rich accession of a thought. Perceived with conscious pride, he feels the sentiment which taste reveals. Let all who joys like these possess, thy veil, enchanting Florence bless. Oh, had the art's benignant light no more revived from Gothic night, earth had been one vast scene of strife, or one drear void had saddened life. Lost had been all the sage has taught, the painter's sketch, the poet's thought, the force of sense, the charm of wit, nor ever had your page been writ. That soothing page, which care beguiles, and dresses truth in fancy's smiles. For not with hostile step you pressed each foreign soil, a thankless guest. While travelers who want the skill to mark the shapes of good and ill, with vacant stare throw, Europe range, and deem all bad, because 'tis strange, throw, varying modes of life, you trace the finer trait, the latent grace, and where through every vain disguise you view the human follies rise, the stroke of irony you dart with force. To mend, not wound the heart. While intellectual objects share your mind's extensive view, you bear, quite free from spleen's encumbering load, the little evils on the road. So, while the path of life I tread, a path to me with briars spread, let me its tangled mazes spy like you, with gay, good-humored eye, nor at those thorny tracts repine, the treasure of your friendship, mine. Grange Hill, Essex.